Namaste. So this video is actually not at all planned. I yesterday read an article written by Dr. Shashi Tharoor, whom I have immense respect for as a diplomat, even though there are some differences of opinion, but I respect him as an intellectual. The article was on how the current government is distorting history, because a few days back, the Indian Council of Historical Research, ICHR, released its first poster of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which had 8 freedom fighters' image in it, including Gandhiji, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, Bhagat Singh, Netaji, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and many more, 8. What created the problem, the issue for the opposition, is that instead of Pandit Nehru, Savarkar's image were added. So Savarkar is the father of Hindutva. So basically, Congress will oppose it, obviously. But what the claims put forward by Dr. Shashi Tharoor, P. Chidambaram sir, and many others from the opposition is that how can you remove the image of Pandit Nehru and put Savarkar? The issue mainly is not that Nehru has been omitted. The issue is that instead of Nehru, Savarkar is added. And in that article, he talks about how the government is influencing the autonomous bodies like ICHR. And this article was written in The Wire. The Wire is known for many other reasons, for its hypocrisy, for its sheer hypocrisy and anti-Hinduism. But fine. The Wire actually last week, when ICHR again made the headlines by removing the Mopla rebellion's martyrs, they are actually called martyrs, can you believe it? And made the headlines. So the Wire actually justified the Mopla riots by saying that the government did a very wrong thing by removing their name from the freedom fighters list. Well, that was just a pre-information about the Wire because Dr. Tharoor wrote the article on the Wire. Now, his claims were that you should give equal respect to every freedom fighters. That is the claim. Well, for the past 70 years, the school's textbooks, mainly NCERT, teaches you only about Nehru and Gandhi. Take the chapter Nationalism in India of grade 10. You'll see that only their movements, only Quit India, non-corporation movement, Satyagraha, these are the few things which brought us freedom. Bhagat Singh is not mentioned. Chandrasekhar Azad is not mentioned. Veer Savarkar is not mentioned. How can you omit Savarkar from Indian independence? I mean, a man who has been sentenced for 50 years of imprisonment. No one in the history of British India has been given a punishment for 50 years. It is only and only Savarkar. So imagine the kind of impact that man had made in the minds of Britishers. And he was sent to the most barbaric and the most cruel jail of Andaman and Nicobar, Kalapani. And you know, people have started this new comparison between Nehru and Savarkar. This comparison beats all senses because you can't compare a person who has been into jail for 9 years, who was a class A prisoner, who went to Switzerland during his imprisonment, and a person who was yoked as a bullock trying to live his life every single day by facing the most horrors in Kalapani, and a person who literally people has been falsely circulating the mercy petitions written by Veer Savarkar alone. Well, let me tell you, literally nobody is denying the fact that Savarkar wrote petitions to the British authorities, because that was a planned move. Last video also I've told you why he wrote petitions. He wrote petitions, I'm agreeing to you. But the same Pandit Nehru who spent 9 years in jail, he had books, he had articles, he had newspapers, he can write letters, he can read letters. Whereas Savarkar was not given such facilities. He used his nails scribbling more than 10,000 verses in the walls of Andaman and Nicobar. And the uh, the only time that Nehruji faced such atrocities, not up to the level of Veer Savarkar, but still he faced atrocities, was in Napha jail, okay, for a few days. And at that few days, he was not given air conditioned rooms, he was not given books, he was not given letters, he was facing what a true jail stands for. And during that time, Motilal Nehru wrote letters pleading the British authorities to give bail to Nehruji. That letters, I'll link it down below, that is dated 22nd September 1923. Just Google it, you will get the mercy petitions. Okay, so if you talk about mercy petitions, even Nehruji had written a few of them, and the jail imprisonment, just clearly check the cells between the two. Okay, the cell in which Savarkar spent his 10 years and the cell in which Nehruji spent his 9 years. So that argument is, illogical. I am in no way saying that Nehruji did not contribute to the freedom struggle. It would be wrong if you say that. And even our Shashi Tharoor sir emphasized on his speech that with his Tryst of Destiny speech, he defined oratory skills. Well, sir, and not just to him, but to others also who claim this statement, I am a very big fan of the Tryst of Destiny speech. It was a very good speech. But saying that it defines oration, I personally do not agree with it, because the speeches which Veer Savarkar gave before independence are available on the internet, which are now being translated to English too. So, Tryst of Destiny, coming to that, it shows that Nehruji was a thinker. He definitely had a thought, he definitely had a vision. Whether the thought was right or wrong is something which we should debate upon later. But yes, he was a thinker, which many of today's modern day Congresses are not. So I am in no way saying that Nehruji did not contribute. He did. But saying that Savarkar and Nehruji had equal contributions is not right. And about respecting every freedom fighter. Where were these people when people like Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Veer Savarkar, all these people's contributions are not given in the NCERT? Not given in educational textbooks, mainly NCERT, because as a student I still remember in class 10th we had a chapter called Nationalism in India, and only Gandhiji and Nehru's contributions are given. Only those people have contributed to the Indian nationalistic movements. So teaching distorted history for the past 70 years, and now accusing the government for not, for falsifying history. How did they falsify history? So by removing Mopla martyrs' names from the freedom fighters list, by adding Savarkar. Sir even refuses to call him Veer Savarkar. He uses VD Savarkar, but it's fine, freedom of speech. And coming to Congress's way of respecting every freedom fighter. Now, this issue cannot be addressed without saying the, famous saying by Sri Rahul Gandhi. In his campaign, he said, he mocked Savarkar, he took a pen and paper, he kind of mocked Savarkar by imitating to write mercy petitions. What did that great man do to face such mockery from people like Sri Rahul Gandhi, who cannot even face the atrocities, 1% of the horrors which Savarkar faced in Kalapani? He won't be able to bear that. I won't be able to bear that, and nobody will. So such mockery. And in his speech he made in an election campaign, I think it was during the 2019 elections, he said the most barbaric remark that my name is not Rahul Savarkar, my name is Rahul Gandhi, implying that he has a relationship with Mahatma Gandhi, which he does not, because Feroz Gandhi changed his name to Gandhi, and that's how he got the name. He has no relation with Mahatma Gandhi whatsoever. And he said, and such remarks has been made by the PM candidate of INC itself. To which what comes to my mind right now is the comment given by Tejasvi sir that Savarkar can only be a hero for the lion-hearted patriots. Savarkar can only be a hero for the lion-hearted patriots, and he cannot be a hero for people who go to Pakistan and apologizes on India's behalf, nor can he be a hero to people who fears a simple electoral battle in Amethi and runs to Kerala. So, accusing the government, that too, like, government cannot influence an autonomous body like ICHR, by the way. And even the higher officials of ICHR has clarified that this is just a first poster and more posters will be released which will have Pandit Nehru in it. And people are now questioning, even these people did not raise their voice when the speaker of the India's most literate state, Kerala, made a comparison between Ali Musliar and Bhagat Singh. I mean, Bhagat Singh was not persecuting and killing Hindus. He was not. He was a nationalist. You cannot compare a jihadi and a nationalist. These people did not voice their opinions then. And about then, people question, what did the RSS, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, and Savarkar do for the country? What Savarkar did for the country cannot be described in this video because it is a long list. We'll talk about his contributions. We'll talk about how big of a revolutionary and a social reformer he was in the next video. But let's now clarify what MB Rajesh sir and many others say that RSS did not have a part in freedom struggle. Well, actually, RSS as an organization is not meant for the freedom struggle. KB Hedgewar, Dr. Hedgewar ji, he was a founder of RSS. He was a member of INC before starting RSS, okay? So he was sent to jail in 1921 for taking part in a non-corporation movement. For 1 year he was imprisoned. Are these not contributions? Then, after the founding of RSS, 5 years later, he was sent to jail for taking part in anti-British activities, that is the Satyagraha of 1930. He was sent to jail. There are more. Dada Naik, in 1942, August 16th, he was given a death sentence for participating in Quit India movement. Now, are these also not contributions? Again, Tukaroji Maharaj, he was also a freedom fighter. Can you say that he is not? You can't. Again, now in a Marxist writing, Remembering Our Revolution of 1994, Trailokyanath Chakravarti, his name is mentioned. How can you say that Dr. KB Hedgewar's contributions to the freedom struggle is worthless? You can't. Again, in 1939, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, again, the textbooks do not have them. Many posters were released without Netaji and Veer Savarkar. In 1939, Netaji approached the RSS for, the armed revolution. Okay, for that, Netaji approached the RSS. Now, the list can go on and on, because the contributions which RSS has done in keeping the demography of the state, of the country, and the contributions done by the individuals of RSS cannot be ignored. And for the past decades, what we have seen is that only 2 people has been given importance. But in my very humble opinion, that I believe that every freedom fighter should be given equal respect. Everyone should be given attention. Everyone should be given recognition. And it should start from the textbooks. Because as a student, I have been I felt very bad when the textbooks did not have, NCRT textbooks did not have Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, Veer Savarkar. The same textbook mocks Alluri Sitaram Raju. Even the teachers who teach that portion mocks Alluri Sitaram Raju, saying that he was a Gandhian and he then went for guerrilla warfare. He is a character for mockery. And the same textbook, teaches Khilafat committee, Khilafat movement as a revolutionary movement. I mean, after all these things, how can you accuse the government of falsifying history? Isn't this falsifying history? Now, I would like to conclude this video by saying that those people who has been denied justice, who the history has deliberately turned a blind eye on, are now getting recognition, are now getting the respect which they deserve. Now you have to deal with it. Because this is new India and this will be built upon facts and truth and not on some propaganda. Thank you and Bharat Mata Ki Jai.